Hello and welcome to Zelda Speedruns. Today we show you a match of the Zelda 2 Randomizer Max Rando tournament. This is Swiss round 1, matchup is Cynas versus traiLZ, and commentator for this will be Mirai. Say hello.
Hello everyone, my name is Mirai, and yes, we have an early afternoon match here for day 2 of the Z2R Max Rando 2022 tournament. traiLZ on the right, Cynas on the left. Could be an interesting race. I believe you guys can see what items the runners are starting with. If you cannot, it is going to be the boots, cross, hammer, magic key, and the reflect spell there. And we do have a 2-gemmer, I believe. And so this might be quick. It might not be quick. But this is what happens with Max Rando. We might need the glove. We might need the glove. We might not need the glove. So anything's possible. We'll have to see. traiLZ, of course, a veteran runner to Z2R. Cynas, very new, I believe. So I don't know exactly how this is going to play out, but I will expect traiLZ to perform very well. On Cynas' side, we'll have to see how he does this. And we're off. Immediate grass tile, possible islands biome here, or a big lake and
You're a bit
surrounding
ahead.
water. Oh, let me refresh. Wow. Okay. So there we go. I was a bit ahead. Very interesting. Anyway, there's our grass tile. And there's the medicine on it. Palace just southeast of start. traiLZ is going to check that out. Cynas headed the same way here. We'll have to try to get a feel for whether attack is feeling good, whether life is feeling good, and whatnot. Looks like Palace 3 or 6 here. Unknown at this point in time. traiLZ is going to go in at 1-1-2. We'll have to look for a window to see whether this is 3 or 6. Or a boss will just appear.
Do have reflect and jump.
It is looking kind of Island Z here on our Western continent. Yeah, I don't know. This might be a kind of a bold play from traiLZ here early on with these low levels. There's a good bit of exploration left, and with this palace so close to start, I don't know if I would dip into it right away. There could be good experience in here, though, so you never know. Obviously, the boots negating all this water. I should have noted that much earlier. Looks like the back of Fairy Cave or Parappa over here on Cynas' side just to pass through. Pretty useless when we have the boots on an islands biome. This is going to be our pillar/P-bag cave. Definitely going to be an item of some sort in here. Whether it's useful or not, that is, we'll have to see. So here's traiLZ with a downstabbless Revanek here at 1-1-2. Again, this is something you might run into early on, and this is why the play is probably not to jump in the palace. Is so underleveled here. He's going to give it a shot, though. I wonder if he'll stick around. If it game overs, he might just step out and continue doing his thing. But if he doesn't get any further in the palace here, this is going to cost him that time. While Cynas is just doing basic exploration. Although taking a game over there to a Gorilla looked like a little tricky to fight in the dark for sure. Especially at low life levels and low amount of heart containers. We do have the hammer. Did we check that cave right there that was just west of start? If we did, I completely missed it. So there's no music, and you guys are just getting me. Okay. Cynas was a little late, so perhaps he was a little rushed. Perhaps he forgot to flip some switches on his side for audio. Oh yeah, for the randomizer audio, right? So it's just the actual sound effects. Got it.
Yeah, I already gave the restream a bit of our soundtrack in the background, so it's not completely empty without audio.
got Cynas in Magic Container Cave. traiLZ did step out of that palace, whichever palace it was. He's in the item cave that Cynas was in before, and game overed in. Life 2 not looking too bad. traiLZ did take a hit there by a boomerang, only 1 heart container, so life looking pretty standard. Just going to be a magic container there in pillar/p-bag cave. Got bouncy cats in magic container cave. That's a little confusing. Magic container in item/p-bag cave, and nothing except a jar in magic container cave. traiLZ finding possibly... Okay, this is the east. Very quick connection to the east here. We'll see if he sticks around on the east to check some stuff out. Otherwise, the west is still completely ready for anyone to take it. It's got plenty of items and towns and 2 palaces left to find on the west. A free shield sitting here in Naburu. Definitely going to take that. Low life, low heart containers. Medicine cave on Cynas' side here. We'll see how he fares in here. This can be a tricky cave, especially at these levels. He is only at 111 Dyers and Bagos, Bagos right off the bat here. Takes the life level, gets the refill, some extra defense. Hopefully able to push him through. Is he going to take 2? Almost enough for 2 life levels there. Yeah, with Cynas being a new runner, these dark caves are perhaps one of the hardest things as a new runner. I can certainly attest to that. I was performing terribly without the candle in these caves when they were dark, but eventually you just play the game enough and you learn what the enemies are going to do, and you learn the cave layouts. But up until that point, it's pretty frustrating. So I think we're seeing Cynas struggle here in these caves because of that. I did miss the palace there on traiLZ side. He must have been in and out very quickly. He is in Risen P-Bag Cave there. Cynas taking a game over in Medicine Cave. Yeah, traiLZ with the 1, 2, 3. traiLZ likes, when traiLZ does not have a lot of heart containers, he does like to stack life. And there's our glove. Wow. So if he finds Fairy, he will be absolutely stacked and ready to go, unless we need Thunder, of course. Okay, that was P2 there, just outside of this Risen P-Bag Cave. Tricky Moa there for Risen P-Bag Cave on traiLZ side, but he gets out. Luckily with the cross, he was able to see them. That's always some people don't like the cross, but the cross can come in very handy at those low levels when you're on the east and you got to see invisible Moas. I missed the spell here, Nukasudo, but it must be something that traiLZ wants because he's going in for it. Probably either Thunder, Fairy, Jump. Wait, they start with Jump, I believe, right? It was Spell. Okay. Cynas does make it to the second screen in Medicine Cave here at 113. And almost into the lava after taking a bop there. Another magic container, though, out there on the west. 200-point P-Bag in the Spell Tower. Gets traiLZ an attack level. We still have Trophy Cave to find. And I think that in Heart Container Cave. Heart Container Cave and Trophy Cave, I believe, are still out here holding items. And how many of our towns? I don't think we've seen a town yet on the west, although they don't need the spell from Raru. As you can see, that Reflect is all the way at the top of the spell list. This is the back of Jump Cave. Not sure if Cynas is able to identify that right away, but I think he does, and he steps out of it. That's going to be a useless pass-through cave here with our current item and biome setup. Raft tile over here in the far north, the far northeast of the east there. No raft on either player, so we don't know where that heads. Could head to Maze Island. Not checking the sign. This is Rando, though. We did find, I looked away, we did find a cave over to Maze Island, so there's our connection to Maze Island, although the raft may still be a connection as well. And we have P5 here in a light pink Guma. All right. Little grinding on. Ooh, we got red and blue Lizalfos here. Very nice. A lot of experience to be had, but kind of dangerous. Oh, traiLZ does survive the first hit. That would have been Trophy Cave over on Cynas side. He did step out of it. traiLZ did survive that first hit on from the blue Lizalfos flying maze. Unless maybe he got clipped by the red guy instead, and it saved him from getting hit by the blue guy. But he put shield on now. 2 hits. We do know that fiery shield as well. So 100. Oof. 1 life left. Do you go back and reset it? He isn't too far from the palace. Oh, he did not get the 100 for that guy, but he brings him back. And Cynas does dip back into Trophy Cave here. Watching to see how much this blue Lizalfo is worth. We got a P-bag in $500 for the blue Lizalfo. That's a very nice find right there. That's going to give traiLZ his attack 3, 200-point P-bag in Trophy Cave. So no real items out there. These could be all these kind of we call them junk items, but P-bags at a low level are kind of nice to have. They're not much of a junk item. But regardless, these could be heart containers that have been taken out of the seed altogether. When it comes to Max Rando, the starting heart container amount is randomized, and then the maximum heart containers that can be found in the seed are also randomized. And if we started with 3, so if we could only have 3 the entire time, and that would mean that the other 5 locations that would have potentially had heart containers have just junk items in them, so to speak, instead of heart containers. So 2 things I missed here that Chad is going to have to help me with is that 1, the spell in Mido, and 2, Death Mountain held something, and I didn't see what that hint was I was speaking. With the flute. Okay, so Death Mountain flute. Not sure if we're going to need that. I don't think we saw a 3-eyed rock or a River Devil block in that canyon on the east. Oh, so he's going in for fire. Okay, so fire is going to be linked up with shield, although fire at Magic 1 is going to be incredibly expensive. It will come down, but it's pretty unlikely that fire is going to come down lower than shield's cost. Shield is also one of those spells that just comes down to mere pennies to cast at the end of the game at higher magic levels. So if we establish that 2 was over on the west side of the eastern continent of the west bank of the eastern canyon, River Canyon, then this is going to be P5. This is the item room here for traiLZ, but traiLZ going in P5. P-bag sitting here. He's going to be at 334 if he finds Guma very soon. He does have the shield spell though, so traiLZ entirely capable of taking out Guma at these levels. Cynas will be getting his downstab technique. Lex in chat asking, is Z2 like an RPG? I believe it's described mostly as something like a action adventure, side-scrolling type of game. Perhaps the least liked Zelda, although if you ask the Z2R community, they might disagree. Anyway, traiLZ taking a death there in 5 on the disintegrating bridge. I guess he just decided to head back to the west now. He's got a lot of west that is undiscovered for him. He did hit the east up very early on. Did find some stuff. He did get the shield spell that did help him get through some stuff. Horsehead has the raft, so P1 in raft is in P1. traiLZ is just going to be covering the area that we saw Cynas cover earlier. It's going to be a magic container in Medicine Cave and P bags in this cave. I guess this is our container cave, so we did find that. So we have found all the caves, if I'm not mistaken, on the west. We're going to have a P bag in Trophy Cave as well. Not too much to find out there. That's going to be the fairy spell here in, was that Saria? It must be, seeing as it's a free spell. So there's fairy in Saria. traiLZ will eventually find that, and he'll be in an amazing spot here. Thunder still at large, though, as far as I know. I don't think we saw a check on Thunder. Could have been in Rudo. We didn't get a spell check on Rudo, so could be Trophy Thunder. Then again, we just talk about Thunder because it might be required. But when it comes to Max Rando, we don't know if Thunderbird is actually going to be blocking the path to the to Darkling. So I was trying to read chat there. Elendar confirming that Rudo and Trophy is in fact Thunder. Okay. So we have P3/6 just southeast of Start. We have P2 on the western side of the Eastern River Canyon. We have P5 on Maze Island. I don't know what else I missed. We have another 3/6 here, so we have both 3 and 6 on the west. We don't know the third palace as far as I know on the west. We obviously did not check Death Valley to see what else is in there, and I don't know if we found the second palace that's available and open on the east either. traiLZ going to be picking up his fairy spell here, and I see that there's the hint for the raft in P1. Guma on the P bag. We do know that from traiLZ's side. He did dip into P5 and he did pick up that P bag, and I'm sure he was not too excited about that. Yeah, the kid finally has a hint today, but unfortunately it's one of those hints that you're not too interested in. Kids, what the game is trying to tell you is kids generally don't have amazing information. Especially when you're on a quest to take out, to save the world. It's going to be P4 here in the on an island completely blocked around water here in the northwest of the western continent. So that's going to be 3, 4, and 6 here on the west. They do have the Reflect spell that can go in. I don't think Reflect is going to be castable at Magic 1. I could be wrong, though. He did pick up a magic container. And he might get a magic level here. traiLZ also going to be grabbing his downstab technique. Have to watch Cynas's menu when it pops up to see if Reflect is going to be castable. It's going to be the first spell on the list, so... The glove was on the east. One of the, I believe it was Risen P-Bag Cave. Yes, Patrick confirming. That is one hell of a town setup there. I didn't see the way that those towns were laid out on traiLZ's side. You've got Saria connecting 2 towns on each side. It's the tri-state area right there. This is going to be a dead end on Cynas's side. Could be a P-Bag back here. Just 50. Okay, so we're going to get a chance to see where the trophy is at. I don't think we saw that on Cynas's side. I could be wrong. Back and forth, watching both of our runners. It's easy to miss some stuff. So trophy in P6, and that is going to be on the west. It's going to be one of our 3/6 mirrored palaces here on the west. Another question in chat for what is randomized in Zelda 2 here. Well, we have a pretty fancy randomizer, and most people will say that it's easier to talk about what's not randomized than what is randomized. So if it can be randomized, it's pretty much able to be. Yeah, we have a very, very fancy randomizer. Overworlds, palace layouts. Not where the bosses are found, though. Those are going to be some information is still static. Not everything is just absolute chaos. There's still some structure to the game at that point. But item locations, everything from experience and levels, level caps, the health on the enemies can be randomized. The experience gained from them can be randomized. What you start with in terms of heart containers, items, and spells can be randomized. The cost of magic, the effectiveness of life and attack. I mean, it's almost easier to simply just download the program and look at all the flags that are there and available that you can randomize. And it's quite impressive. And it makes every seed that you fire up. You can custom tailor your flag sets to yourself as you learn the game, and you could just continue to increase the difficulty little by little or dial it back when necessary. Cynas is back in Magic Container Cave. I think he just remembered that he was here. There was nothing in there. It was, it was just a jar. traiLZ is in P6, though. We did get confirmation on the windows earlier, so he's looking for the trophy here for the Thunder spell. Takes a mace to the face. Doom Knocker's never nice. Ooh, Doom Knockers in small corridors here. At least he's got downstab to make this a little bit easier. I think our color palettes mostly match on our two runners. Sometimes that isn't the case. So I think this is going to be P3 over on Cynas' side. This is the palace that was just southeast of start. Yes, it is. And in that case, he is going to run into a pass-through Rebanak going to the right. We don't know where Rebanak is, the actual boss. We don't know where he is located in P3, though. There's going to be P6 where traiLZ bodies Barba, unfortunately, taking the death, but he does have plenty of lives. So traiLZ, I would expect traiLZ to be able to take out Barba without any issues at this point. Just a small little mistake. With the jump spell, though, I wonder if he's going a little jackhammer strat. No, going to do side. They call this the side jackhammer, I believe, where you get a bunch of hits in on the side from the side of Barba with the jump spell. Makes it a little easier to dodge the fire. Still a little tricky, though. Oh, and into the lava does not get the experience. Barba will be dead, but the experience is not going to be rewarded for the kill. Barba is likely going to give anywhere between 500 and 1,000 experience. That would have easily been 2 levels, a double level here at the gem placement, but traiLZ did take a bath. And this is going to be our pass-through Rebo on Cynas' side, although he is in here with a few more levels than traiLZ did at the very beginning, and he does have downstab. So as long as you can get him in the corner here, oh, that's a hit and a death. It looks like Rebanak's brother might be blocking the path to actually Rebanak today. Rebanak's brother would be Robanak, by the way. He's trying to get him in the corner there. It's very close. And there's going to be our trophy there in P6. traiLZ is probably going to head back and turn that in ASAP. And then with the 2 gemmer here, he only has to do 1 more palace, and he could probably just pick. He knows where the palace that Cynas is in. He knows where that's at. He knows there's going to be P3, and that's going to be one of our smallest palaces to complete. So he probably will jump into P3. And then we don't know where Death Mountain, not Death Mountain. We don't know where GP is yet. It's going to either be in Death Valley or our second palace that's open and available on the east, although it could be a 3-eyed rock. I don't know how much exploration we saw on traiLZ's side on the east. He did find the east very early on, and then he did find Maze Island, I believe, without clearing out all of the east. And then from there, he headed back to the west. So I think there's still some east available left for us to explore. And if it does come down to a 3-eyed rock block, then I think Cynas is the only one with the Death Mountain hint currently. That is going to be a glove block in P3. Wow. And traiLZ does decide to dip into P3 as well. Having the glove, he will not be stopped in that room, though. Coming back to get his revenge on Robanak here, a few rooms in to the right. It is all good, Laulex. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask them, or even check out the Z2R Discord to ask further questions there. This is the Max Rando tournament, so there will be a lot of Z2R on the ZSR channels here as we progress through the next few weeks of this tournament. This is only day 2, so lots of Z2R available coming up in the future weeks. traiLZ with an easy kill on the pass through Rebanak. We're going to see what lies behind this glove block, not too far in here. I believe the connection to the east was simply a cave. So as soon as Cynas finds that cave, he will find his way to the east. I believe it was a cave east and then a cave to Maze Island. We don't have the raft. We don't know. We saw the raft tile, but we don't have the raft. So we don't know where the raft goes. And we don't know where the Maze Island bridge itself is. Both of those could lead to Death Mountain. This is going to be the item room here in P3. Just the candle. But again, it's one of those items with low heart containers, and if things get tricky, then having the candle is kind of nice to be able to see in the dark. Okay, Cynas back in the Pillar P-Bag Cave. I believe this is, he was not able to do this earlier. He was in here at lower levels, taking hits from the gorillas and the boomerangs, and I believe he game overed in there at least one time. So he's back in here to find out what's in here. I don't think there's anything in here but a P-Bag, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, no, it is a magic container. Okay. So that would be one of them that traiLZ did not find. There were two magic containers on the west. Annoying Doom Knocker on traiLZ's side. Rebanak cannot be too far off at this point. Again, Palace 3 being potentially the second smallest palace right behind Palace 1. Randomizer could roll high on rooms, though, so it could be third longest, perhaps. But it's still going to be a pretty short palace overall, depending on the way that the Randomizer rolls it. And we will expect to see Rebanak pretty soon. This could be an elevator here at the end that leads right to his room. Could be a pass-through as well. It's going to be the pass-through room, but Rebanak could be here in the next room or one more beyond that. Oh, this is going to have an elevator in it as well on traiLZ's side, so I guess we got a little bit of P3 left. I believe we have the spell in Old Kusuto here. Yes, it is going to be the jump spell there at the bottom of the spell list on Cynas' side. And we do have Rebanak here at the bottom of the elevator in that one room. This is going to look pretty similar to the previous Rebanak kill that we just saw earlier. Oh, he's got one life left here. Desert tile has the child on it, just sitting there getting a little sun. That does mean that Cynas has found his way to the east. Reba neck down on traiLZ's side. Going to be placing that gem. Not going to be enough for a double level. I don't know what 1480 is, though. Could be life 6. Could be magic 5. Child for life. It is going to be magic 5. Okay. It'll be interesting if Cynas picks up upstab here in Darunia, and it is actually a block in GP. That could have given him a small advantage to getting some time back here. GP is going to be on the east, as far as we know, though. Either going to be Death Valley or, again, the second open palace. I say open, but it could be behind Three-Eyed Rock for all we know. And trails back to the east to hunt for it. Cynas does decide to grab upstab. Darunia is right over here. I don't know if traiLZ is going to dip into any further towns. He's probably just looking for a palace to do it and get it done with. That is going to be our other palace other than Death Valley. So it looks like Death Valley is going to be what holds GP. Is it a 2-gemmer or a 3-gemmer in here? Or does... traiLZ has P3 and P6 placed. Does he have a reason to want to go to Death Mountain? He might be in here for the raft. Interesting. I'm trying to think if I had missed something here. Yeah, I'm almost positive. I'm with Patrick here that GP has to be in Death Valley because we have P1 down here. We had P2 that we had already seen on the west. I mean, the east. We had seen P2 on the east very early on. It could very well be that traiLZ forgot that he saw that. But he hasn't seen a Three-Eyed Rock as far as I know. Item room here in... is this P4? I don't remember what palace this was with the lavender color here. Oh no, this is going to be P1. This is... do we have a different color set between our two runners? The palettes are a little different, I think. I think that's what it is. Yes, this is going to be P1 because there's the raft. So both of our runners in P1. Cynas still has 2 gems to place, though, and traiLZ has placed his 2 gems. This is going to be an elevator room, though. We've got a right and a down. Both of our runners in the same room, I believe. Cynas looks like he wants to get up on top of that platform and beat that guy up, but he does take a death, and that is a game over there in P1. I'm just a little confused. I'm just trying to figure out what we're ultimately looking for here in P1. We're going to see if traiLZ... Either it's a 3-gemmer and we've mistaken this, or traiLZ is mistaken that it's only a 2-gemmer. Oh, it is. He mistook it for a 3-gemmer. Wow. He paused there. He's like, what? And he's out. And here's our water tile. Wow. just a P bag. So we still have not seen another heart container yet. We have 2 items in Death Mountain. One of them is the flute. The other one could be a heart container, could be a magic container as well. We are running out of some locations to find things, although some of the palaces still have some items left in them. But for traiLZ, that's not going to be important. He is going to be interested in finding GP. At this point, he should know that is in Death Valley, unless, again, he forgot that he saw that palace very early on in the game. That's entirely possible when you see things very early on. You just note them in the back of your head, and as you get new information, that just falls off the table, and you completely forgot you saw that other palace. But it doesn't seem that that's the case here for traiLZ, because he is headed into Death Valley, and that is where our GP is at. Hoping for a good GP here. Give traiLZ a little bit of a challenge. And again, if we see that hard upstab block in GP, then that is going to be traiLZ have to walk back out and get upstab in Darunia. Cynas is still in P1. Horsehead is not too far off, so that's going to be his first gem being placed. Fire on the floor, bubbles bouncing around, and a red iron knuckle. Not a lot of fun. Going to take the jump spell and jump over most of that. That's going to be about 34-48 is what that looked like on traiLZ's side, raising the barrier in GP. Nice dark red, kind of a blood red, I guess you could say. Perhaps that's an omen. We have a left at start and a right here in this curtain room. It's going to be pits on the curtain room. It's 2 different curtain rooms. We have a flat curtain room. We have one with pits in it. That's the way I like to identify those two. So I always get these rooms confused. This is either going to be a fairy room or it's going to be the one-up room. I think it's the fairy room. It's going to see a fairy right here. Yes. The 2.5 gemmer. Yeah. That's funny. Here's an elevator room. Tricky spicy chicken to get over here. Although traiLZ makes it look easy. We got a 4-way. Possible loop or a second 4-way. Looks like a loop. I don't think we're going to have 3 4-ways in a row, although I think we've seen that one time before. It's a little confusing when you see duplicate rooms that aren't actually a loop. But that's just part of the randomizer, being able to recognize that and map out the palaces as fast as you can with 0 knowledge of them. I don't think Cynas is too far off from Horsehead here in P1 at this point. This is going to be a downstab room for traiLZ. At least from this direction, it's a downstab room. This, however, would not, if traiLZ were to see this from the other side, he is familiar with the upstab skip, which is possible in that room if you see it from the other side. You can skip that room if you don't have upstab, as long as you have jump and fairy. So he does know how to do it, and we will see that if it's required. However, there is a community room that was put into the 4.0 version of the randomizer. That is a hard upstab block that you cannot, at least we don't know how to at this point, skip it with any sort of tricks or glitches. So yeah, that would be a hard upstab block. If we see it, I'll point it out. But we'll also see traiLZ either turn around or up an A to get out of the palace if he does see that as well. That's going to be Horsehead down for Cynas. There is going to be his first gem at about 37.30. He's going to get 460. I believe 460 is probably going to be attack 3. Yes, a very welcomed attack 3 for Cynas there. We got an attack 4 Thunderbird on traiLZ's side. With shield life 5, he still might not be able to take a hit, but that doesn't matter. traiLZ performs a flawless Thunderbird there. And we're going to push on to see what is beyond here. Again, in this flag set, we don't know if Thunderbird is actually required. So we don't know if this is the correct path or not. It is just simply the path that traiLZ was on when he saw Thunderbird and decided to dig it. And funny enough, this is the room that if traiLZ were to see it from the other side is a hard upstab block. So with the room in the pool, that means that traiLZ may see it from the other side. That is correct, Slammer. We do take off style points for not killing Thunderbird in the center of the room. If it were to come down to a tiebreaker of some sort, style points would be calculated, and traiLZ would lose style points because of that. So this could be a very tricky room right here with that spicy chicken. If there's another spicy chicken or a flying bird knight on the other side, that makes that room very difficult. If it just has small enemies in it, it's nothing more than a simple pass-through. But that's going to be an up and A from traiLZ. That would have been a game over anyway. At that point, that was his final life. And so he's going to dip back in. We'll see if he goes the same way or if he goes a different way. I believe he had to take a death there on Thunderbird immediately because he didn't have enough to cast Thunder. One hit from the blue flying bird knight is enough to kill you at life 5 with only 3 heart containers. 2 of them in a row there as well. When you die one room in, though, there is a question. There's 2 hits. Okay, so there's 2 deaths. I was going to say it's a question whether you just start over at that point because you're only 1 room in. Yeah, he's also going to try this again. Not sure if it's worth casting Fairy here. He did on the first attempt, but if things are going to be clipping you, is he going to... Wow, he slides right underneath that orange bird knight. Still cast Fairy just in case he was going to get clipped, but he didn't. He makes it out of there anyway. Now we've got some dots in here. I like to just call these dots. I don't know if they have an official name, though. The dots from the floor are going to be very painful. If traiLZ gets hit by those without the shield spell, it's likely going to be 1 full heart container. With shield, it's going to be about half a heart container there. The horizontal dots, however, are not very painful. There it is. You saw a lot of life get lost on that 1 hit. 2 hits. Ouch. He's below a heart container. Here's an emoji room and a clip. Kind of a Buzz Thunder. Is that technically being Buzz Thundered? It didn't come from the ceiling. It appeared right out of the face of the emoji here. So I was going to point out that if there was something tough on this side of this room, that it might be worth killing the... Oh, boy. Oh, wow. That's a very nice block from traiLZ there. There's going to be P2 on Cynas' side. This is going to be an upstab block in this direction, and traiLZ is going to show us how this is done. Anyway, from the previous room in GP there, if there were to be tough things sitting inside of that emoji, the second emoji, it is worth killing the blue, the king bot at that point, which will despawn everything else in the room. So the trick here is, I'll try to explain it a little bit, but it really helps to understand, kind of get hands-on experience with this. So you're just trying to kind of get to the very edge pixels of the block above you, and then you can jump link into it, and when you push into the block, then something in the game allows you to kind of clip into it, and when you clip into it, it pushes you up into the space there, and then you can break out the blocks further above, and you can break out enough of the blocks at that point to get out with Fairy. So there's the move there. You see traiLZ perform it, and we'll see if this is actually the correct way. So there it is, 1 block out, cast the Fairy spell, and you're through. Oh, takes a beam from the blue knight. He's going to try to... He can't take another hit here. He's going to get the jump, turn it around, go all the way down. He's got to go up. There's not enough room left. There it is. Okay. Another emoji. This one's kind of full of stuff here. This is interesting. Cynas, I missed on his side. He did not stick around in P2, it seems. He is in Naburu? No. Raru? Nukasudo? He's a Nukasudo. I looked away, try to identify that. I don't know what traiLZ died to, but I assume it was a hostile enemy here in GP. Oh, see, this is that fun emoji. If we had a King Bot in here, you could just kill it and despawn this stuff in here. But fortunately, no King Bot in here. So Joe's going to pull this guy out and then rush and get in there. Oh, gets what I like to call visored. And I didn't coin the phrase, but essentially when the beam is just above, when the sword beam from those birds or from anything from a blue from a blue iron knuckle or whatever. When the beam is just above your shield, hits you right in the forehead, Link is not smart enough to lift his shield up just a little bit to block that. So essentially you're getting visored. And that is a dead end. The upstab block skip leads to a dead end there. So it does seem that we were on the correct path before. I do believe someone noted that it looks like a kind of a linear GP other than that first branch in the beginning. I believe that's true, since the four-way elevator that we find in the next room here is actually just, or not this room, but coming up is actually just a loop into itself. So simply just a pass-through. Cynas back in P2. traiLZ saving some life there by just ferrying past that Firebird. Takes the beam and survives with a sliver of health. Cynas getting tag teamed by a little Goomba and an orange Iron Knuckle over here. Life spell, I believe he just cast life. It looks like it refills 1 bar of health, which is just another thing that can be randomized in the randomizer, is the amount of health that life can refill. And that's going to be anywhere between 1 to 5 bars. Back into Thunderbird room. No need to take a death this time around. No need to cast Thunder. Bosses do not respawn. Although he is on a sliver of health, so death is likely imminent here. This is another one of these downstab blocks. We've got 2 birds in here. We've got a red one here and an orange one in front of him. So this could be tricky, but he could get through. There, oh, takes the hit, unfortunately. Does get the kill. He got the kill, but technically didn't get the kill because the experience needs to count up before you actually die. So that orange bird will be back. Cast the shield spell, takes out the orange bird. Very nice. I believe he cast Thunder to get through here the first time, so he did burn through a lot of magic. And beyond this point, we have not seen. This is where traiLZ took these last death and then up and 8 at that point to save the game over screen. But we're going to see what lies beyond here. Still no elevators yet. Very linear. More of these vertical dots. Very damaging. Wow, almost took 3 hits there. A heart container in P2. Amazing. Cynas finding the potentially only heart container in the entire seed there in P2. Another one of these downstab block rooms from this direction. We're seeing a lot of these. And we're seeing them filled with birds as well. All right, our first branch in GP here. We've got a left or a right, about, what was that, 10 rooms in or so? Maybe more than that. This is going to be a reverse paperclip room. Going to be an elevator at the end of this one. This could lead to Dark Link or could lead to more nonsense. Big slam over for the Eon drop. Another branch. Okay, we've got choices at this point, although choices are deep into the start of this palace here. Oh, another upstab. We're seeing a lot of these in the pool here. I don't know if I would waste my magic at this point. I'd probably check a different direction. I think traiLZ is going to do the same. I think he's down to his final. Oh, that is a game over. Wow, this is a very punishing GP. So we'll have to see how many rooms this is until we see this first branch. And when I count, I'm not going to count elevator shafts there because those don't count. traiLZ doesn't have much of a choice. There's, you know, he understands that there may not be another heart container in this seed. So unless he really feels punished, unless he feels that it's very, very difficult to get through here with just 3 heart containers and the amount of magic he has, he's not going to jump. He's not going to leave this palace. It comes down to essentially hitting these rooms, learning the layout of them, learning the enemy sets, and every time you walk into each of these rooms, doing better each time you push through to lose less and less health, to use less and less resources, and then of course be able to push further into the palace overall. It's the same thing as speedrunning, essentially. We're just doing it in a race setting. I hate elevator shafts. I like elevators. Elevators usually have a boss attached to them. If I'm counting correctly, I believe this is 6 rooms in. Watching both runners here. Cynas, of course, did find the item in P2, so he's just looking for a helmet head at this point. And if he finds him, that is going to be the second gem placed, and then he'll just have to find GP and make his way through, although this is a punishing GP. Look, the elevator shafts are nice when there are fairies in them and you need them. Otherwise, sometimes you see 3 shafts in a row and it's just a long trek down for seemingly no reason. I don't know what room we're on. I've lost count. This is either 9 or 10, I believe. So it is quite a dig as we're seeing from start to finish here. Or start to finish, from start to first branch. And then there is a question though. At that first elevator branch, does traiLZ go left or does it go back right again? Takes the bop from the fire on the Firebird, takes the death. That's going to be his first death with 2 lives left. Fairy is the safe bet here. It's interesting though because traiLZ did not find the second magic container on the west, and Cynas did. So that's why Cynas has 6 magic containers and traiLZ only has 5. That extra magic container would have allowed him to cast Fairy twice. I think Fairy is just a little too expensive. Very nice hop there, not getting hit by the vertical dive. That's very true. Patrick pointing out, who's also tracking. There was no shout out early on. 51 minutes into the seed. Everyone, Big Picket Patrick is our tracker for today. You would have seen it on the tracking command that Siberian put out early on. But that is correct. Cynas will need to find Trophy in P6 to get through Thunderbird. As we know, it is a forced Thunderbird this time around. I think we're about to hit our branch here. See if traiLZ goes left. He does go left. There are a lot of birds in here that's going to be getting hit by the bird, and that's going to be a death, a game over, an up and A, and a start back at the beginning. Wow. Frustration is probably beginning to set in here. But to be fair, I will point out that traiLZ was in the audience for yesterday's match between Elendar and Bob, and it was also another very interesting seed with low heart containers in that one. And traiLZ had said, this is the type of GP that I want in my race. So Siberian granted that wish today when he rolled the seed. Also, a little thanks to Cynas for being late to the race. Otherwise, he probably would have had a completely different seed being rolled. So this is where we're at with this very punishing GP. But these are the GPs that you might run into when you play the randomizer. It's entirely possible. You don't have that fine of control over some of the knobs that you might like to have. Things can still be a little punishing if you find yourself at low levels. But when it comes to max rando, you just have to take it. Indeed, Aaron, traiLZ does enjoy the very low heart container GPs. And as I was alluding to there, is that if you're a new runner, these are the GPs that will definitely put you through the gauntlet and train you and force you to get better if you want such a thing. Cynas does place his second gem there in P2. I believe he's now at 445 are his levels. Trails at 455. It was overall a 2-gem seed. And this GP looks to be about 10 to 12 rooms linear to the first branching path that they have available. And at that point, they have 2 branching paths available. It's going to be a left and a right, and then a right from there will take us left and a right. We do see that the raft does take us to Death Mountain here. Another oddly placed raft tile here on the very edge of Death Mountain. We did get a hint for the flute in Death Mountain here, so whether it's Spec Rock or Hammer Cave, unknown. The other thing could be a heart container. Also could be a magic container, though. Or I guess that would be it, or a junk item, but there's no other actual items to pick up. Since we know the candle is in one of the palaces. I think it was P3. traiLZ is restarting this room to try to get a good spawn on this guy here. You don't want him in the corridor with you. He doesn't have any health to really take a bop, so he's going to try to get through this orange guy. He does get through the orange guy. Very nice. He can't take any hits from either one of these birds. Sometimes you get a poor spawn with the bird. The bird jumps right into the corridor there with you, and you just can't get through without... well, it's very unlikely you're going to get through there without taking a hit. So he's got to do the same thing here. Unfortunately, jump spell not enough. It's a little tricky. The jump spell sends you into the air with little gravity, and it's always a little difficult to maneuver yourself. And still takes a bop on that fire spell. So again, I didn't see how much fairy costs, but like I was talking about earlier, if traiLZ had found that second magic container on the west, he would be able to cast it, I believe, 2 times. I don't think he can cast it 2 times currently. It looks close, but it looks more like it's just over half of his current magic. Cynas is making his way to GP, though, it looks like, although without the Thunder spell, so he is going to be hurting for that. Okay, Fairy's exactly half magic. Okay. Gonna try for a jar. Gets the jar. Very nice. Most of those statues have a 50-50 chance of giving you a jar, or in standard palaces, it would be a jar or a red iron knuckle. In Great Palace, it is going to be a jar or a red foca. So we are going to check the reverse paperclip here. Oh, I'm sorry. This leads to the other branch, and we've got an upstab block to the right. And we still don't know what goes left in either of these directions, but he is going to go right here. Perhaps the safest, although the priciest direction, we're having to cast both jump and fairy to get through here. To be fair, I don't know if priciest is the word. We'll just say the most expensive route. It's interesting that traiLZ does this a little bit differently than I do this. He puts Link's back or hat or cap, if you will, to the block and then tries to get it that way. You can approach it from the front side and put Link's shield into the block. I didn't see... Okay, there. 0 with the 56 on Cynas entering GP. Very nice. That is about 20 minutes after traiLZ. However, he does have upstab, so he won't be burning through the magic to get through these areas. However, Cynas being a newer runner, this is a pretty punishing GP, and I don't know what to expect. We'll have to see what happens here. Oh boy, more birds, and traiLZ can't make it through this without taking damage. He can try. I mean, it's possible to get these birds into such a situation where they do play nice. Like right here, oh my god. If he makes it through here with very little damage, losing all the magic, he can't take any other hits. He's got a sliver of life. What awaits us in the second emoji here? Nothing but a bubble. Could be tricky, though. It's a fast bubble. Pretty annoying as long as he can stun it and keep it stunned and not get hit by the Mew. Get out of there. There it is. Passes through that room. That could have been an easy death. This one does not look good. With the bluebird on the firebird. Oh, my God. traiLZ asked for it, and Siberian delivered on this seed today. It could be a loop. It could very well be a loop here. This could be... And it is a loop. Wow. A very expensive loop. Probably cost him the full... He's probably going to have to up an A. He is on his... I believe he's on his last life. Going back and forth. I haven't been able to keep track of lives at this point. But he is going to head back and check left at the one elevator that we now know is the correct direction. That is one hell of a loop there. Yeah, Cynas will have to bail once he sees Thunderbird, but at least he'll know. Well, he won't fully know right off the bat. He will see Thunderbird, and he might go back to the beginning to check left, and then he'll hit a dead end shortly after that. He's going to check the elevator, though. This is just a loop it into itself. And there's Darkling just left of that first elevator. Wow, that was a full clear for traiLZ. It wasn't... Overall, it didn't seem like too large of a GP. It is a shortened GP flag set, but room count-wise, it didn't seem too large, but very brutal enemy set overall. And that is going to be just about an hour flat right there. Looking like 1 hour and... Yep, 1 hour, 100:04. GG to traiLZ, and Cynas is, it's up to him if he wants to continue. I don't know at this point, though, if he wants to continue to put himself through this. I think, and traiLZ has joined us. Welcome, traiLZ. GG on that win here today.
I got so lucky, man. I played like shit. not even gonna lie, man. That shit, like, I thought it was a 3-gem seed. I did 3 palaces. I had to do friggin' upstab block skips several times. I'm guessing he was stuck on Thunderbird, maybe.
He has just reached Thunderbird right now, and I believe he is going to be forfeiting here at this point.
Oh, he doesn't have the Thunder spell.
Yeah, he doesn't have Thunder. I don't think he checked for the hint in Rando. So he did enter into GP about 20 minutes after you, though. You walked in at 30-something, and he walked in at 56. So you had a bit of a lead there, and he still had plenty of exploration to figure out where everything was and how to tackle each of those difficult rooms.
Yeah, I played awfully, man. You know, not thinking trying to place more gems than I had, you know. And if I was facing you or Chroma, I would have been finished. You saw every single room of that GP.
It was a full clear, but it was definitely a tough GP.
Yeah, it wasn't free, but if you went left, it was only 2 rooms after Thunderbird. It was Darkling to the left. And I went full right, hit the loop, did upstab. I did the first left, did upstab, block, skip a couple times. And then went down. I ran out of magic, so I started to go the right way. And then I did upstab blocks, like I died, like it was just an awful performance. I can't believe I played like that. I should have been done 20 minutes ago.
Well, it was.
You made it a race for me.
Well, welcome.
Hey, what's up, Cynas? GG's.
GG. Was Thunderbird required?
Yeah, Thunderbird was acquired. The Thunderspell was in the town of Rando, and the hint said it was in Palace 6. So Palace 6 and Palace 3 were on the west, so I did that. I never saw the third palace on the west, and that kind of concerned me a little bit, but...
I had made it to Thunderbird's room, and that's when I forfeited the race, and I knew the only way that I was gonna be even in this race is if I gambled on Thunderbird not being required, so that's good enough for me.
Yeah, I mean, Beyond Thunderbird was an absolute nightmare. Getting to Thunderbird was pretty tough, but Beyond Thunderbird was just, bird night after bird night after bird night, and they all hit you and killed you in one hit. So you had like magic management was like a big thing, and then you were presented with a couple forks, and one of them was a loop, and the other one was the Path to Dark Link, and of course I hit the loop, and I game over it in a loop a couple times, so I kept on going back. And then when I finally realized it was a loop, I went back up to the other fork, and it was only like 2 rooms beyond. Probably like 5 or 6 rooms beyond Thunderbird. You had to go. Man, it was a gauntlet. But you know, I love those types. I'm just it's kind of early for me, so I'm a little exhausted.
Yeah, last night. Oh, go ahead, Cynas.
Oh, yeah. So I'm relatively new to Z2R, and I've never played with no candle before, which I think was probably pretty evident to the comms and the people watching. But I had fun. I can't believe I had enough time to get to GP and got there in under an hour, so hopefully it wasn't too horrible to watch.
No, not at all. I had pointed out and talked in chat a few times that weren't sure on your history with Z2 and Z2R, so wasn't sure how you were going to be performing here. I knew you were new to at least the Z2R community recently, and that this was going to be your first tournament, I believe. So, we were just watching as you played along, but you didn't do that. You didn't do that for.
Yeah, we were both in GP together.
Yeah.
So it could have been anybody's race.
Yeah, and especially if Thunderbird weren't required, and if it were a little bit more of a maze-like structure to GP, traiLZ did have a good amount of lead getting into GP, which usually allows that whoever gets in first gets generally more exploration done. But sometimes, we see people come from behind, they walk in. As long as you get in GP at a fairly good time, and if it's maze-like, you might be able to find Dark Link before the other runner does, even though the other runner might have been in there for 10, 15 minutes at that point.
Yeah, I gotta start analyzing the psychology of Great Palace if I want these come from behind wins. Maybe I should always go left first or something like that.
Sometimes that's the play, man.
Yeah.
But I want to first apologize to everybody for being a little bit late. This whole 2:22 business, I thought my race was at 2 and not 1 o'clock, so... Yeah, that threw me. So I'm sorry, everybody, that I was late, and I want to thank everybody for on the ZSR for hosting the race, and thank you traiLZ for setting everything up, and thank you commentators and trackers. I had a lot of fun. I had more fun than I expected to, and I've watched traiLZ a couple of times, and I was like, woo, man, what a first draw. So I just came in here hoping to have fun, and it took me 10 minutes to get started, but then I did. I had a great amount of fun, and I hope that folks that are watching will see what fun the randomizer community can be, and even if you don't have that much experience, that it's great to get out there and get to know people in the community and have fun. But thanks, everyone.
Oh, thank you, man. And I encourage you to play more. We need more people in the community, and it's not as tough. It appears tough on the outside, right? And it's I don't know. It can be a little discouraging, and it can also be when I first started, man, people were I was finishing at the 2.5 hour mark, and people were finishing at 45 minutes, and I was like, am I even good enough to play this game? You know what I mean? So it's an easy game once you get into the groove of it. And it's a really fun game to get into. It's just unfortunate that our community is not that large, so definitely encourage people to get out there and play it. It's not as tough as the vanilla game. It's definitely more forgiving. You get levels early. You got the 1,000-point P-bags sometimes. I mean, you can literally set the randomizer at whatever difficulty you'd like. You can make it free. So definitely encourage people to get out there and start playing, and especially you, Cynas. Just keep grinding, man. It's a very, very fun game, and it looks difficult, and it's from the outside it might look like it's a task, but it's not as tough as it looks.
Yeah, I'll echo what traiLZ says there. It's great to hear from new runners having fun with this, as I always try to talk about in comms and chat and whatnot, that you just kind of got to get out there and start playing. If you're interested in this, it's an incredible game once you finally do understand how to play it and what you're capable of, or what Link is capable of in the game, and all the tricks and whatnot you can perform. It all becomes so smooth and satisfying after a while. And it's tough to get into, like traiLZ said, but it is quite rewarding. And it's always great to hear feedback from new runners and whatnot. And to be fair, out of all of this, this is Max Rando, right? You've stepped fresh into perhaps the most difficult setting that you could have stepped into. So I'm glad that you're having fun with what could have been absolute nightmare potential settings. But yeah, not to deter anyone, but this can be a lot of fun. But GG's to both of our runners here. Does anyone have any, either of you have any questions from each perspective on where maybe something was at this point? We saw the glove was on the east. We saw it on the early on, but I don't. Were there
any magic container or heart containers anywhere?
That's right. That's right. There was a heart container in P2, and Cynas found it.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I did.
There might have been a couple more also.
Yeah, I presume you didn't get 7 magic containers for the lady in Hidden Kasuto.
No, but I did get the pee bag at the end.
Yeah, me too.
I did get the spell in the pee bag.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Man, I lucked into the glove right before P2 and took the raft over to Death Mountain. Was just like, nope, and went back and went into Valley of Death instead, and lo and behold, just yep. And oh man, I failed the fairy skip. I forget what it's called. A couple of times, and had just like some great rooms where I just cast jump and just went for it. And I think I got into GP on my last life, so it was pretty good. It felt really tense and good for the nerves, and really satisfying to get through there. But thanks again, folks. I'm out for the day.
Thank you, man. And GG's.
GG's to our runners, traiLZ and Cynas. I guess it's time to wrap this up. So, this also means thank you, Mirai, for commentating, and Patrick for tracking this Max Rando match today. On the schedule for ZSR, we only have the Z2R weekly for today at 10 p.m. Eastern. Oh, I think it was 10. Yes. And tomorrow we have a few more Max Rando tournament matches going on, as well as an Ocarina of Time standard tournament match at 8:20 Eastern. Check our schedule, that's already linked in the chat. And we are going to rate a streamer who is playing Zelda 2 right now, after a long while. So, share love with him, and see you next time here on ZSR.